Floods is soaked this morning. Elm Street in North Fargo is now closed as the rising red creeps up to that low-lying road. Water is over that bike path near El Zagel Golf Course between 14th and 15th Avenues, and it's starting to flow over Elm.
The river hits minor flood stage at 18 feet, and it's just crossed over that mark around 2 this morning. If the red hits 19 feet, you'll see the dam at Dyke East go underwater. At 21 feet, the 3rd Street underpass in Moorhead shuts down. And a reminder, the snort from a few weeks ago back, the National Weather Service says any fears of extended spring flood in the valley have been virtually eliminated. That's all thanks to that part to this soil-stained snow.
The Weather Service said yesterday that a lack of precipitation made that topsoil receptive to the spring thaw. Then the winter winds picked up that loose dirt to color the snow and make it absorb more heat than usual. The Weather Service says the dirty snow and last week's sun and warm temps are thought to have helped that snowpack disappear a little more quickly. And some of your walks and bike rides across the Red River are being interrupted now for a few weeks during this flood season.
Fargo and Moorhead Parks departments yesterday raised the pedestrian bridges at Lindenwood Park at the south side of Oak Grove. Up north, they'll be open back up until the water comes down.
And we want to get a check now of where that river level is at, along with your Tuesday forecast with Summer Schnellbach. Good morning, Summer.
Good morning. Yeah, let's look in at the Red River at Fargo. As you guys mentioned, crossing into minor flood stage this morning. As of 5:15, we're at 18.27 feet, which is just barely in that minor flood stage. But over the course of the week and into this weekend, expected to reach about 29.5 feet, which is just under major flood stage. So who knew that snort would be so beneficial? It's great news for our flood forecast in the Southern Valley. You can find lots more maps like that and forecasts like that right on our website. Head on over to valleynewslive.com. We have a tab in the weather tab. Click on the current river levels and they are updated constantly. Now let's get a check of your forecast for today. We had some areas of rain and snow and mix move through overnight. Here's a time lapse of the last 12 hours as rain and snow showers crossed through our region. Right now, they're holding fairly steady in central Minnesota, still impacting areas like Wadena County with a little bit of rain, but you might be waking up and needing to scrape some freezing rain off of your car this morning or some freezing fog. Check of road conditions. We have a colorful map in northeastern North Dakota. All of this light blue indicates frost covered roads, so things could be a little slick. Speaking of slick, we've got some scattered ice in the areas shaded in yellow up into Candu. Snow-covered roads, areas like Langdon, shaded in purple, and wet and slushy roads, shaded in blue from Grafton and along points of I-29, all the way down into the Fargo-Moorhead Metro. Visibility is still causing some concerns in Minnesota this morning. 1.3 mile visibility in Roseau, 2.5 miles in Baudette, 3 miles in Thief River Falls, Bemidji, and in Detroit Lakes right now. Temperatures primarily in those upper 20s to some lower 30s, and we'll be warming up into the 40s for today. It is still a first alert weather day due to some slick conditions and that lingering precipitation in some of our Minnesota counties. Cooler and windy for our Wednesday. We warm back up for the back half of our work week. Chance for some more showers and breezy conditions by Friday. Cooler again Saturday, but then the start of next week looking to be a little bit above seasonal and quiet. No big snowstorms, no big rainstorms on the horizon, so more good news for that flooding forecast.
All right, we like to hear that this morning. Yeah. Summer, thank you.
Time now is 6:53. Storms ripped through Texas and Oklahoma yesterday, and take a look at what they did. One pickup truck, the driver gets caught in some seriously high winds, and his truck is pushed over and then pushed down the road.
And then you'll see that the pickup is pushed back onto its wheels and the driver is able to drive away. The storms also slammed schools, homes, and businesses, leaving many in rubble. We have new information this morning on the crash of a Boeing 737 in China. State media is now reporting that no survivors have been found. A China Eastern plane carrying 132 people went down yesterday in a forested mountainous area in the southwestern part of the country.
FlightTracker.com says Flight 5735 was traveling at 500 miles per hour at around 29,000 feet when it entered a steep and fast dive. The plane briefly recovered, then dove down again. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he is ready to discuss a deal with Russia, a commitment to not join NATO in exchange for a ceasefire, withdrawal of Russian troops, and guaranteed of Ukraine's security. The move comes as fighting rages all throughout the country.
In the besieged city of Mariupol, the Ukrainian military says bombs are falling every 10 minutes. The UN says more than 900 civilians have been killed in that conflict, but fears that the actual figures are considerably higher. Another blow for Gigi's Playhouse. Thieves broke into their construction site early yesterday morning and stole tools and copper wiring worth more than $7,000. Gigi's Playhouse is in the process of rebuilding after arson last May destroyed their building. Gigi's is North Dakota's only Down Syndrome Achievement Center. And then add insult to injury, the burglary happened on World Down Syndrome Day. That's a day to celebrate the achievements of people with Down syndrome.
The trial starts today for a man accused of killing 41-year-old Eric Hayes last summer. The shooting happened July 24th outside the Loaf and Jug on University Drive and 12th Avenue North. Police say nearby surveillance video shows 40-year-old Raymond Gunn approaching Hayes with a handgun while Hayes had his hands raised in the air. The shooting Hayes once, Gunn could face the rest of his life in prison if convicted of murder. While we're hearing new details about last week's kidnapping in Pope County, Minnesota, 22-year-old Victor Alvarez is now officially charged with abducting a 2-year-old boy from the child's home. Police say that Alvarez knows the mother's mother and note asking for her forgiveness after taking the toddler while his mother was at work. The child's caregivers were sleeping.
The manager of the restaurant where Alvarez worked called 911 after seeing the Amber Alert. They say Alvarez briefly brought the toddler to the restaurant and had told fellow employees days earlier that he would be bringing his child in to visit. The 2-year-old was eventually found safe but alone in a booster seat inside a garage in one of Alvarez's acquaintances. If found guilty of kidnapping, Alvarez could face up to 20 years behind bars.
Hundreds of carbon monoxide detectors are going out into the community in an effort to save lives from carbon monoxide poisoning.
In the Valley, today's JC Dodd joins us live with more on how people can get those life-saving devices. Good morning, JC.
Good morning, Jordan Phoenix. I'm here in Moorhead at the Dorothy Day Food Pantry, where 200 of these carbon monoxide detectors are set to go out into the community, the Fargo-Moorhead community, today, this afternoon. Now, the donation comes from a family in central Minnesota after the tragic deaths of the Moorhead family of 7 this past winter. They, too, also lost a loved one 18 years ago. So they have come to Moorhead to bring these donations, 200, in an effort to raise awareness and to hopefully save lives and bring awareness and security to the community. Now, joining me live this morning is Pastor Sue Kesterman with Churches United. Now, Pastor Sue, tell me about this donation and what it means for the community.
Well, it really is the gift of life to have these carbon monoxide detectors so that people have them in their homes and can know if there's a problem before there's another tragedy.
And what do you have to do to get your hands on one of these?
So I know that you have the number to call that will be available, so they can call and request a carbon monoxide detector in with a food basket, or case managers who work with folks in housing can call and request one for one of the folks on their caseload.
Thank you, Pastor Sue. Now, that phone number she was just talking about was just posted to our website and Facebook. So if you're interested in getting your hands on one of these free carbon monoxide detectors, you can find it at valleynewslive.com.
Yeah, especially after that tragedy in Moorhead where carbon monoxide took a family a life-saving device that everyone needs. JC Dodd reporting live. Thank you. If you drive 32nd Avenue South in Fargo, you know it needs some help. City engineers are trying to rework a construction project after bids came in way over the original estimates.
The city figured work would cost just over $11 million, but bids came in at $16 million. The project includes replacing the deteriorating pavements, adding new pedestrian facilities, and replacing the sewer system. The city is now considering 3 new proposals. One allows 1 lane of traffic each direction during the duration of the project.
Option 2 is similar but would require temporary driving lanes. And a third idea is to close 32nd Avenue to traffic in 3 phases. The third option would also allow for reduced costs. The city says labor and material shortages and inflation have driven up the cost of that project.
Well, here's a traffic alert for drivers on Interstate 94 near West Fargo. Starting tomorrow, east and westbound traffic will be rerouting to the westbound lanes for upcoming bridge construction. The right lane of the I-94 westbound near Maple River Bridge will be closed first, followed by the left lane.
And that's when eastbound traffic will be redirected to the westbound left lane. Temporary guardrails are also going up, and the speed limit will be down to 55 miles an hour. The Today Show and CBS Mornings are just about to start, but the Valley Today rolls on. We'll have more live up-to-the-minute news and weather coming up on the Fargo CW. That's where Summer Schnellbach is tracking the Red River levels as they rise with our spring melt. Otherwise, have a great Tuesday. We'll see you here tomorrow morning.